Hello race fans and welcome to the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship live here from wonderful Road Atlanta in Braselton, Georgia. We are about to go racing here at a historic American sports car circuit, and joining me today on RaceSpotTV is Chaz Draycott, back after a little hiatus. Great to have you back, my friend. How are you feeling?
I'm very good, thank you, Peter. It's an absolute pleasure to be back once again, and it has felt like a real long time. Just other commitments in other places keep me all over the place, so I'm glad to be finally back on the ground here. Not for too long though, I'm off on holiday tomorrow, so I can't wait, but tonight is the main event for me at the moment, because this is going to be such a good evening of racing, and it's great to be back in the box with you again, Peter, and of course here on RaceSpotTV. But what a place to come back together. Road Atlanta, mate, in Porsches. This is just heaven for you, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah, one of my favourite circuits in the world, Road Atlanta, and so many stories to tell about this wonderful place as well, which I'm sure we'll get to throughout the day. This is our away round for the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing. We've followed the Carrera Cup UK calendar throughout the season so far, but we allow ourselves one away round by popular demand of our drivers. We're already at round 6 of the season, just 3 rounds to go here at Road Atlanta today. In a couple of weeks' time we go to Silverstone, and then the season finale at Brands Hatch. 2 championships to fight for, the Pro Class and the AM Class as well. And a couple of weeks ago at Snetterton, well, we had some superb racing on that road course, particularly in the AM Class. One of the finest championships, one of the finest finishes we've seen in this championship's history as well. Let's have a look and see what the points look like as we stand. On top of the shop in the pro standings is Will Chadwick, 20 points ahead of Austin Greatorex. Johnny Cullen sits in third, with the recovering Christian Tsuruta. Had a difficult start to the season, but really coming on form in the last few rounds. He sits in fourth. Johnny Elia, he rounds out the top 5. In the AM class, well, it is a super competitive class. We just have to watch last weekend's race at Snetterton to see that. Oliver Carbadine leads the way by just 5 points from Chris Byram. Tom Slater sits in third, with Stuart Clark in fourth, and Luke Holroyd rounds out the top 5. Rob Sharp sits in sixth, then it's Paul Coffin, Ryan Penny, who had a great performance last time out, Amrik Sashdev in ninth, and Heinz Meyer, he rounds out the top 10. So the drivers are out for practice at the moment, but let's have a look at our Road Atlanta track map. Chaz, what are the secrets to getting the best out of this circuit?
To be honest, Peter, one of the main talking points at this circuit is turn 1. It's so difficult. You have to take a late apex, but try not to clip the grass on the outside as you sweep all the way around the long right-hander and keep your speed up as you get to the top of the hill. Turn 3, basically a blind apex. Drivers are really going to have to focus into there. And then, of course, you've got the tight left-hander as you go up onto what we're going to call the sort of back section of the circuit. They climb up the hill. There's loads of curb to take there. But cars like these 992 Cup cars can really get upset there. And, of course, the tight right-hander before the back straight. So important to get a good run off there. We're going to have a lot of slipstreaming tonight and into the hard braking zone, into the chicane. I think it's going to be a lot of fun here. But drivers are going to have their wits about them not to make contact down there. You and I have both seen some rather large incidents down there before. Just people trying to make the gap work and other drivers trying to block it off. Sometimes it doesn't always work like that, but still, it's an epic circuit, and it's no surprise that it's one of your favourites in the world. It's one of mine as well, because it's just always provides great racing. I'm absolutely terrible round here, but honestly, when it comes to watching round here, I'd happily sit on the sidelines.
I think that's the place to be, that's for sure. It's now known as Michelin Raceway at Road Atlanta, thanks to the support of the tyre manufacturer from France. Just over a minute left in free practice before the drivers go into their qualifying session. They get a private qualifying session to set 3 flying laps. But here at Road Atlanta, Chaz, there's certain parts of the circuit where the track limits can play a part, particularly up at turn 3. You've got to be very careful not to be a bit too greedy with that curb on the inside there and lose your lap time.
Yeah, that's it. And with it being a blind apex as well, it's even more difficult to get it right, to be honest with you. So the drivers are going to have to be millimetre perfect on most occasions. This is Christian Tsuruta in what we've been calling the flying bogey through turns 10A and 10B. Through the end of the lap down the hill. Now look at how wide he's going there. Maybe a little bit too wide for his own good, actually. Misses the apex by a good country mile. But you will see drivers not just taking a lot of liberties when it comes to the apexes, but like that there, they'll really open up the corner on the way in as well, won't they?
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. It is a really quick corner, one of the fastest corners in the United States, and then you don't really get much rest because turn one, it's another big scary one as well. It's a proper kind of bull ring section here where you're carrying so much speed and then got to try and get the car settled before heading down the S's. Well, practice ticks over and it's time to go qualifying as well. Top of the shop in the practice session, Johnny Cullen, fastest on the timesheets with a 1:19.812. But let's see what happens in the pressure situation of qualifying. And as we've seen, of course, with the short heat race, Chaz, that qualifying position, that road position is very, very important. This is an important session here.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, when you're on your own on the circuit as well, that can actually apply more pressure in a sense because you've not got the cars around you in an open session to use as reference points. So you can't physically follow somebody and see where you might be quicker or slower than them if you gain or lose a bit of time. What you have to do is just chase the numbers. And it's so difficult to do that. There's no physical visual target in front of you to go chasing it, except maybe if the drivers have some sort of delta up that goes green or red based on the lap times, which you can do in iRacing. But honestly, when you're trying to chase numbers, you can just get in your own head way too easily and just make a little tiny mistake, put a foot wrong, and that will throw it all away. This is Will Chadwick in the gorgeous Fordzilla machine into the tight right onto the back straight. Gorgeous looking car. The spec map certainly working well there, as he's come to a stop for a moment there and disappears. Bit of an odd one, but interestingly enough, this man, Oliver Carwadine, I was just about to mention him there, Connery's a mind reader, he actually went fastest in practice and he leads the AM Championship, doesn't he, Peter? So it's important for him to keep at the top of proceedings.
Yeah, it shows how important confidence is. Of course, Oliver Carwadine comes out on top of an absolutely stunning 5-car battle for honours in the AM class last time out in Snetterton. I mean, it really was a stunning show, and yeah, you can tell he's carrying that confidence in the 1110s Porsche. So, coming round to start a flying lap. Let's take a run round a lap round Road Atlanta then, shall we? Over the start-finish line we go towards turn 1. Would you believe in a prototype here, you're almost flat. Porsche RS Spider, it was flat round here. Which is quite a eye-watering thought, actually. Up the hill here towards turn 3. Very blind entry on the right there. You don't want to overcut the curb there. Also don't want to get the car too unsettled on the curb. Then it's down through the S's, through turn 4. And then the very tricky turn 5. You've got to watch the curb on the inside, watch it on the outside, and then use all the room on the outside if you can, keeping the car as settled as possible. It's not easy. Down towards turn 6. This can be a good overtaking opportunity if you want to be bold and stuff it up the inside. It can be done. And then turn 7, the most important corner on the circuit, getting that run onto this endless long drag of a straight. Here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain, we've got a fixed setup, so all the cars have the same setup. But if you in a custom setup environment, Road Atlanta's a nightmare because at this part of the circuit you need a Le Mans kit, and everywhere else you need a super high downforce kit. So it's very difficult to compromise on the setup, and teams often fight with that. Into turn 10 A and B, really good opportunity there to make a move, but not without its risk, as Carwadine pushing here over turn 11, over the crest of the hill, and then turn 12, hanging on, trying to just not hit too much of the curve on the inside. Pretty decent lap there from Carwadine, actually 1:21.0, not bad.
Not bad at all, puts him second in the AM class behind Paul Goffin, currently 5th overall though. Not too bad at all. Christian Saruta fastest on a 1:20.052, just over a quarter of a second faster than Johnny Elia. Here is the man that went fastest during practice, Johnny Cullen, in this gorgeous black and green CXR branded machine. That looks fantastic. He comes now up towards turns 6 and 7. Look at the camber there. This is what really throws you off though, because as you go into turn 7, suddenly the corner's flat and then over a bit of a crest actually in comparison, isn't it, Peter? So you've got all this grip from having a cambered corner beforehand and you think, great, this thing's going well. You chuck it into turn 7 and nothing happens.
That's Road Atlanta. It just follows the natural curvature of the ground. It's cut actually from red Georgia clay is how they cut this this circuit. And that long back straight, the former owners of the circuit, the Whittington brothers, actually used to land their planes on the back straight. In fact, one time they called down to the pits and actually asked racing to be stopped this was in the late 1970s, asked the racing to be stopped so that they could land their plane. That's one way to make an entrance.
Yeah, I know Mr. Palmer doesn't quite do that. He doesn't stop the event going on to land his helicopter. But even still, that is, well, that's just the rock and roll 70s, isn't it? Will Chadwick still fastest. Johnny Cullen has gone second. Only 40 thousandths of a second between the two of them. Sarut is third. Then it's Elia and Greater X. Tom Slater has actually gone fastest in the AM class at the moment in car number 53. Byron Crawford has moved up to second in the class, 8th overall. To Paul Goffin, Chris Byram, Oliver Carwadine, 5th in class at the minute. Back with Johnny Cullen. And then there is Will Chadwick, currently fastest at the moment, 1:19.7. To be honest, it looks like, when you're watching a lap round here, it feels like it'd be longer than that, doesn't it, Peter? But unbelievably, these cars make it very short work.
They do, yes, they do indeed. These 992 Porsche Cup machines, 4-litre flat 6 in the back of this car. Still very truly a 911, around 500 horsepower, but a little bit more aerodynamic performance than the previous car, but still relatively svelte and slippery. So the car doesn't do much to massage your ego. You've got to drive it, you've got to get on and do the best you can with it. Let's see what Cullen can do. 119.9 doesn't improve, so he stays second for now. Chadwick with just over a 2/10 of an advantage. Elia in the pit, so he might be done. Greater X, I'm surprised to be back in 5th in class at the moment.
Yeah, indeed. Austin right up there in the championship, currently sitting in second position. He's only 20 points behind Will Chadwick as well, so he needs to get on with this one and get the points on the board. You'll see a lot of them doing this now, where they actually practice their starts at the end of the pit lane. They'll just get it ready and then cane it, because these cars do have launch control. It's actually something that a lot of the drivers in previous seasons didn't realise, isn't it, Peter? Because we saw a few of them start to get used to it towards the end of the season, but other drivers just weren't aware that it was even a thing.
Yeah, it's that's one of the nuances of iRacing. Often there's things that you discover, and yeah, that's one thing where the community of the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship comes in. There's no secrets. There's lots of help provided for across the club, and it very much is a club atmosphere. There's, all the racing is racing hard and clean on the track, but yeah, if there's little tips and hints, drivers are all too happy to help each other. Of course, one driver we should mention as well, Carl Hazelton from Porsche Centre Chester, very kindly sponsored the championship this year. So you'll see on all the cars, you'll see the Porsche Centre Chester emblem on the front of those cars as well. So a huge thank you to Porsche Centre Chester for their support. And one of their team cars, they do have 2 cars entered. One of them is Ryan Penny, and he's made a mess of it. Well, off to the body shop. Yeah,
indeed. Not quite sure where Ryan has managed that, unfortunately, but this is one of those circuits that will bite you in the backside if you don't get it right. Here's Mark Johnson across the line in car 44. Currently, well, he didn't have a valid lap time on the board, but then he goes up to 15th place, a 121.982. Chadwick has improved, actually, on his last 2 laps. He's done a 119.595 now. He keeps just taking the odd few thousandths off it. Tom Slater's done a fantastic time, actually, a 120.226. He's 4th overall and leading the AM class. And that's one thing that we've always seen in this championship, other than maybe Season 3, where the races were actually separated. But a lot of the time, the AMs can get really right amongst the pros, can't they?
Yeah, well, certainly Slater's done that, hasn't he, in 4th overall. I do like this livery for number 44, Mark Johnson. It's like sort of either a candy cane or a barber pole. Yeah, it's like a barber pole as well. Yeah.
Looks very smart. It's almost like red and white
document folder.
It's like red and white dazzle camo, isn't it?
It's yeah. It's a zebra that's got sunburn.
That's going to be me in a week.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. Yeah, all the.
I'm going to wear a string vest for a week. A big fat strawberry cornetto as well, flipping it. It's not going to be a pleasant sight. I can only apologise to the people of Fuencaliente when they see it this coming week. So Mark Johnson moves up to...
Caliente means hot.
Oh, does it? Oh, God. Well, Mark Johnson certainly went a little bit too caliente into turn 1 there and goes into the barriers. It's the number 72 of Andrew Soper.
This is the Tipex factory car.
It is indeed. Makes his way down the back straight. That's a great shot of them flying towards us.
This is, the world's finest A4 printer paper sponsoring the car.
It's indeed, isn't it? I could do with this. Realise how green my paper was this week when I was printing out documents for said holiday. Looks awful. Absolutely awful. They're like, Beth's like, oh, there you go, get this recycled paper, it's really good. No, it's green. It's not white.
But it smells funny.
Oh, yeah. Why is it crumbling in my hands? Right. Andrew Soper.
Do you know, there's nothing more annoying than reloading paper into a printer.
Oh, there's one sheet that never fits, is there?
Oh, and I've nearly put the printer through the window about 10 times this week.
Oh, God.
as well. Anyway, it's Peter and Chaz are back. It's just back. Normal service has been resumed. This qualifying ticks over as well. If you leave us unoccupied for any length of time, that's what's going to happen, folks. It needs to be non-stop action for us. Anyway, let's see how they grid up for this first race of the day here at Road Atlanta for, this is the Porsche Club of Great Britain sim racing holiday round away from British shores on a real driver favourite circuit. On pole position is Will Chadwick with Johnny Cullen alongside on the front row. Then it's Christian Tsuruta and Tom Slater with Johnny Elia and Austin Greatorex on row 3. Row 4 will be James Cummings and Byron Crawford with Paul Goffin and Chris Byram rounding out the top 10. Then it's Stephen Haley and last winner in the AM class, Oliver Carverdine. He'll start from 12th. 13th will be Amrik Sashtek, followed by Drew Fletcher, Mark Johnson, Josh Bailey, with Andrew Marston and David Patching rounding out row 9. Row 10 is Ralph Meyer and Ryan Penny, then it's Gilles Gardner, Mark Elvin and Andrew Soper. 23 cars, one heat and then into the final. If you make a mistake here, you're going to have a long old fight back to the front. Let's see how they get on then. Standing start here at Road Atlanta, and the grid will wrap its way around the final corner as well, so it's a good job that on iRacing you get your own personal set of lights to look at as well.
You do indeed, and it's going to be a very feisty start. Keep your eye on that bright yellow car on the inside, the flying bogey of Christian Tsuruta. I must give a shout out as well to Paul Goffin and Andrew Marston, who are both running my Spontex CDM Esports colours this evening and for the rest of the season, so I'll be willing on the little hedgehogs from here, but we're about to get underway, Peter.
We'll shoot here the 4-litre flat 6 motors screaming. There they are, sitting on the rev limiter, waiting for the green flag. There it is. We're racing in Atlanta. Down towards turn 1 they go then. Will Chadwick holding the inside line, but Johnny Cullen's got a great start. Can he hook it around the outside here at turn 1? As Mark Elvin goes off in the background, they're still side by side, but here comes Tsuruta. He's going to have a look on Cullen. Is he? No, not quite. Cullen up into second, Tsuruta in third. Whereas Chadwick, he gets the whole shot there. And Chaz, that's not what the chasing pack want to see. When he gets clean air, he is relentless. Yeah, and even the top 3 have a bit of a gap over Tom Slater. So usually the AMs and the pros only separated on paper, but right now Tom Slater is the definite cork in the bottle for the rest of them. And side by side behind him we have Johnny Elia and Austin Greatorex around the outside at turn 6. Tries to make that work. Johnny's nice and courteous, gives him the room. Austin around the outside at turn 7 now. Is he going to make that work? They're still side by side. Watch behind them for James Cummings in the military grey number 25 machine. He's definitely flying under the radar. He's into the slipstream of Austin Greatorex now, Peter, and this is where it begins. Look at Chadwick. Oh, Chadwick trying to break that slipstream back to Johnny Cullen. Johnny Cullen using that slipstream to his advantage as they come down towards 10. Cullen's got to take an opportunity if he's got it. No, not quite. Cannot afford to let Chadwick get into his rhythm, because if he does, he'll be gone. As Elias, so it's side by side still again. It's a little bit of a steady start there for the transit driving Italian, and that is a correct statement, I think. Yeah, I've never said it.
It just caught me off guard. I'm sorry.
Chadwick at the front then by a quarter of a second, and great start from Tom Slater. Used his grid position well, and of course in this heat race, the drivers in score points based on overall position. So for Slater in the AM class, it's potentially a huge haul of points here for the driver of the 53.
Yeah, definitely. That's it. You need to use any position you can gain as part of the overall field to your advantage. As here we go on board now with Austin Greatorex up to 5th position already. 4th in his class, Tom Slater ahead. He's going to open up the exit now. Look, he's going to be as smooth as possible. Tom gets a really nice punch out of the corner, actually, in that number 53. You can see the 3 leaders ahead, all still line astern. But watch the slipstream effect here as Greater X now starts to reel in Tom. Which way is he going to go? God, I could stare at the back of that thing for ages. It's gorgeous. Austin now moves over to the left, side by side for the lead. Is Cullen around the outside of Chadwick. Now, if he can hold that, he's going to be on the inside for the second part of the chicane. But no, Chadwick cuts his nose off. And look at that, Saruta straight on the attack.
Oh, that was a statement of intent from Chadwick. He said, yeah, I'm not being a softie here. And he really shut the door hard there in Cullen's face. Perfectly fair. Very clever racecraft from Chadwick. And he's gained 3 or 4 car lengths straight away. And for Johnny Cullen, he goes back to 3rd then. And Saruta and Cullen, they've got to play this careful. They can't afford to give Chadwick any kind of a gap. I mean, 0.8 of a second, you're almost at the point where the slipstream isn't making a difference. Anything above a second, it really doesn't have any effect at all on the car in front. So if you're wondering why have the cars got slightly different pace on the back straight there, they're identical in setup and all sorts, but it's the slipstream of the car in front, the way that the car in front punches the hole in the air as Cullen goes back into 2nd position at turn 6. So he obviously feels he's got superior pace to Saruta because all that's done. I mean, look at the gap now, 1.5 seconds. Chadwick is checking out. See you later.
That's the last thing they wanted, really, is to be battling. I was expecting Cullen to actually sit behind Saruta for a moment and just concede and say, you know what, if you're going to be in front, let's do this. Let's try and work together and move forward here. But no such thing going on here. These pair are going to battle until the cows come home. So too are James Cummings and Johnny Elia, both of them in the pro class. Side by side into 10A. Elia once again around the outside into that chicane, and then the inside for the exit. Cummings just about on the left-hand side, but I think he's got rid of the overlap. Oh, James Cummings is off. I think he might have clipped the grass on the exit, maybe, and gone into the bridge. Blends in with the concrete well, but that is a very damaged Porsche 992.
Now, I want to see look. I thought I saw the tail lights of Johnny Elia come on there. It might have been just with the sight of the spinning Cummings behind him, and he just sort of hit the brake pedal, by accident, but. Or just in reaction. Let's have a look at Elia's car here on the right hand side. It's hard to tell. But Cummings, that's a really frustrating error for him because he was right there in the fight.
He was indeed,
that car's ruined. And he's missed. Now, did he manage to get into pits though, or did he have to go all the way around? I think he got into the pits. Yeah,
he did. I think he just had to wait for the whole field to go by, so he would have been waiting for quite a while there, unfortunately. Not quite gone to plan for him. There is the fast repair and straight back on with it. God, if only it was that easy in real life. Flipping heck. Now look, Johnny Cullen has actually checked out from Saruta on this lap. He's starting to make inroads into Will Chadwick once again. The gap is 1.3 seconds last time they cut the beam, 1.2. So it's moving around as they go into the chicane. Obviously there is that slight accordion effect. There's been a move further down. I believe Chris Byram's got ahead of Byron Crawford. Byram and Byron, let's not get those two confused. That was for 7th and 8th. 2nd and 3rd in class. They've got Paul Goffin behind them in the Spontex CDM Esports car. Then Stephen Haley in the 241 machine. Part of Digital Motor Art as whoa! Paul Goffin was early on the brakes there, and Stephen Haley had to get out of the way, and he's off at turn 1. He took avoiding action there and threw himself off the road. Nice save. It's not easy to keep these things pointing in the right direction on the grass. It's just floating around. He loses places to Amrit Sashdev, and then through as well goes Josh Bailey. So this is another look at it. There is the Spontex CDM Esports car in front. Their slogan matches me, really. Champion of less effort. And there you go, look. Oh, he just... That's great awareness by Stephen, to be fair, and good, just good racemanship, sportsmanship, to be the man to make the decision to go off the circuit, basically.
Yeah, nearly ran into that Spandex CDM Esports car in front. Nearly. Oh, sorry, Spontex. Spontex CDM Esports. I knew I was going to do that. 8 minutes to go in this motor race. Last time round, Johnny Cullen was actually quicker than Chadwick by 34 thousandths of a second. He will need to take a little bit more than that on the subsequent lap, but it is better to be quicker than slower. And in fact, he's taken a 10th and a half out of Chadwick on that last lap there. So Cullen definitely is on the charge back again, but does he have enough time to catch Chadwick?
Yeah, he's certainly
he's dropped Tsuruta big
making
style.
moves. He has really disappeared from Tsuruta. The gap between the two of them, 1.9 seconds now. So he's actually closer to Chadwick than Tsuruta is to him as well. So he's not going to be feeling any pressure from behind. Johnny Cullen can push on and on in the number 666 machine. This is a great opportunity for him to claw back some championship points and at least be one of the few drivers that can beat Will Chadwick. As off the road is Byron Crawford. As well, we're left blind by looking through the trees, and there Byron makes his way back onto the road. Can't see any damage on the car, but you never know. It's hard to actually have an accident there and not hit something, isn't it?
Very much so. I mean, Road Atlanta is pretty old school. If you make a mistake, there is big consequences. The walls are close. The circuit was designed in 1970, and although it's had improvements, you can tell. Oh, just a little kiss on the tyres. That won't do any harm.
He nearly got away with that there. Nearly got away with that, did Byron Crawford. But he carries on. That's not going to stop him competing. He's further down the field now in 16th position. So he's not going to be too chuffed with that one. Paul Goffin and Oliver Carwadine having a bit of a scrap here as well, with Mark Johnson involved. Number 44 is in the pro class as the other two are arms. He throws it up the inside into turn one. Somehow they don't make contact, but Carwadine just has great commitment around the outside and manages to hold on to the position. Paul Goffin gets a little bit of breathing room, but makes a mistake at turn 3. The car wiggles out of shape as he bounces over the curb. Goes this way and that. Down the S's they go. And then back up the S's they go into the left-hander. Now this is very, very tricky. It's that big curb on the right-hand side. It can upset the camber of the car so much. You need to make sure you've got the compression and the rebound of your suspension absolutely spot on through there. But lovely little trio racing together here, Peter. And there's quite the accordion effect going on, isn't there, as they all close up. More of a lock-up on the way in. And now let's watch the slipstream from Carwadine as Johnson makes a mistake.
Yeah, very, very easy to do. All three of them actually had a lock-up there on the brakes. Of course, no anti-lock braking system on these cars like you would get on your road car. They are purebred racing machine. Here comes Carwadine. And Goffin saying, well, you're going to have to go all the way around the long way here. Oh, side by side. Hedgehog says, are you joking? You're not going to go around there? And oh, you are? Oh, you're serious? Okay.
The Hedgehog says, don't be a... anyway.
Spiky response.
Yeah, indeed. Well, fantastic stuff from Oliver Carwadine, though, but that's coming back to what we were talking about earlier. You mentioned this confidence that he's got. You know, he's won these battles at Snetterton. He's got the championship lead in the AM class. That is the confidence installed in him to go forward and make moves like that and really crack on with the job at hand. You know, he's not just qualifying fastest in the class and disappearing up the road. He's in the middle of the field based on qualifying, and he has to fight his way through, and that's exactly what he's doing now. He's had a bit of a mistake through the S's, though. Loses a bit of time once again to Goffin. Goffin closes back in on him. All the while, Mark Johnson's got a fantastic front row seat to this one.
Yeah, he's watching all of this. This is fantastic entertainment. Carwadine goes a very defensive line, and actually, Johnson's about to pick the pocket here of Goffin. Sticks it up the inside at turn 7. That's late. Oh, and that's what's happened. Just locked up a little bit, and okay. Well, that is. We might see Johnson catching the attention of the stewards there, because usually if you cause an incident, you've got to give it back. Contact there to begin with, and then very late dive, and yeah, that's pretty cut short, really. Move was never there.
It was certainly tough and feisty, that one.
Yes.
And now...
So, 4 minutes to go then, and Will Chadwick leads by 1.1 second. Last lap by Cullen again, stripping another tenth of a second. This is either Cullen driving really, really superb. Well, no, it's both. I think it's both. Johnny Cullen driving superbly. He's putting in some great lap times, but I also think that Chadwick, we know him well. I think he's in control of the situation somehow. 3.5 minutes to go. He does seem to be very much in control of the situation. However, we have seen times where grip can disappear at the end of a race, even as short as this. Sometimes the tyre can do strange things. It can do unexpected things, and a little bit of weaving on the straight from Chadwick. That's trying to break the slipstream. That means he knows very well that Johnny Cullen is on the case.
Yeah, he does indeed, and that's almost like admitting that he knows he's under pressure. And to be honest, it shows a chink in the armour, doesn't it, for Will Chadwick? So he needs to make sure that He just focuses on what's ahead of him, and that is clear track at the moment. He needs to leave all of the pressure down to Johnny Cullen. He needs to be the man to apply it, and Will needs to be the man to completely ignore it. But it's honestly very easy for me to sit here and say that, of course, as that looked like a bit of a moment there, actually running wide through turn 1, didn't it? It's so difficult to get that right, but the gap now is down to around a second, so those 2/10 have disappeared.
Yeah, that was the gap last time by. Yeah, tenth and a half again in the favour of Cullen. But yeah, that coming into turn 1 there just looked like Cullen just pulled a little bit too much speed in. He's really pushing for this win, and yeah, just ran on a little bit. But I tell you what, Chadwick's very good in that midsection as well. Cullen trying his best to keep on touch. Now, let's see. Is Chadwick going to... Yeah, well, there's one move. 2 moves. 3 moves. 4 moves. Now this, Chad's in the letter about 5 moves. This isn't... that's right on the edge of what's allowable in most motor racing rule books.
Yeah,
You're allowed one move.
Yeah, I'm under the belief that that's normally down to just defending, but I agree that if you are going to go and do it to, well, I suppose it is still defending because you're still breaking the slipstream effectively. You know, you are trained to defend your position. I do agree that maybe 1 or 2 weaves is all you need to do, but to be honest, if I was the driver behind, I'd just stay in a straight line because, if anything, all you're doing is scrubbing off speed if you're the car in front doing that as well. As we look here at Christian Saruta now under pressure from Austin Greatorex, he was trying it into the chicane. Look at the way the cars bobble around and scrabble for grip as they go through turn 1, over the crest at turn 2, into 3. Almost 4-wheel drifting there as Austin Greatorex arrives into the picture on 2 wheels. Chadwick here still leading the race, but look, that is the gap back to Cullen now. It's just over a second, 1.055 as it flashes up on my screen. Nearly 1.1 tenths of a second if you round it up, but just about a minute left of the race now, Peter. I think they'll still get one more lap.
Looks like they're going to, Chaz. Yeah, looks like it, and that's exactly what Johnny Cullen wants to hear. So he's within a second now of Chadwick, and again, Chadwick weaving back and forward on the straight, trying to break that slipstream as best he can. And not quite as many moves on that time, only 2 or 3, which is a little bit closer to what we would see. But Cullen is getting closer, and of course, the closer he gets, it's a kind of snowball effect. The more slipstream he can potentially get from Chadwick, but as they go into the last lap, it's going to need a big effort from Cullen. Meanwhile, this is a battle we've seen so many times: Saruta versus Greatorex. What a fantastic battle this is. 2 drivers with a lot of track experience. Saruta, a former Caterham racer. Greatorex, a very serial track day driver in a Porsche GT3, so he knows high performance driving well. And both very quick in the sim as well. And that's it. It's been a good drive from Greatorex. He had a difficult qualifying, but he's really made up for that as Chadwick just backs it through the S's. Amazing to watch.
Yeah, it's great when you see these drivers absolutely on it, throwing it through this part of the circuit. There's a lot of smoke up there, actually, at turn 5. As, into the wall. That's the 42 of Josh Bailey. That's down the start-finish straight, is it not?
Yes, surely. I think he's lost it coming out of turn 12, I think. As it looks like Johnny Cullen just can't quite seem to get on the case of Will Chadwick. Again, Will Chadwick being absolutely perfect, but back in the battle for the podium. Saruta holding it for now, but Greatorex is still close. He's only 4/10 of a second as they come onto the straight as well. Saruta tries to break the slipstream as well, but back at the front, it's going to be a couple more corners, and it will be another victory for Will Chadwick here in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing. Lights the flag victory. A good effort from Johnny Cullen, but it goes the way of Will Chadwick. A great drive from the Team Fordzilla driver. Saruta hangs on for 3rd position, and Greatorex, he'll have to settle for 4th. And meanwhile, side to side, between Slater and Byron. It's Slater and Elia. Who's going to get it? It's Elia.
Oh, unbelievable. So close between the two of them. 30 thousandths of a second. Chris Byram there with... sorry, that was Mark Johnson across the line. Apologies, with Stephen Haley behind him. Chris Byram gets 2nd in the AM class. Oliver Carwadine gets 3rd. Here's the Tipex machine a little bit further down. Andrew Soper's going to go for a... well, it said 10th, but I don't think it is 10th, is it? Andrew Soper's going to be further down. 10th in class, I apologise, yeah. 18th overall.
Andrew Soper's washed the livery off his car.
He's driven that fast. Oh, sideways. Oh, no. That was Heinz Mayer. Heinz Mayer having a bit of a... Oh, sorry, Ralph Mayer. I got the wrong one. I always do that. They hate me for that. Ralph Mayer deciding to end the race in dramatic fashion, really chucked everything at it. But that's the thing, that final corner, Peter, it's a lot of compression, isn't it, at the bottom of the hill, and it's easy to lose a car there.
Very much. We see that a lot going for that last lap dive to the finish, and wowee, that was certainly a one for that. And what that meant, of course, because the points are handed out by overall position here in the heat, that meant that Chris Byram was the next car down the road from Tom Slater in the AM class. So we had pro drivers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but Slater, he actually only finishes one position ahead on the road of his AM class rival. That is very important. Will Chadwick then your winner by 1.1 seconds. Christian Tsuruta rounding out the podium after holding off the charging Austin Greatorex. Johnny Elia finished in 5th. Then it's your top 3 in the AM class, Slater, Byram and Carbadine, with Matt Johnson in 9th and Stephen Haley rounding out the top 10. Then in 11th it's Amrik Sashdev, followed by Byron Crawford, Ryan Penny, Andrew Marston and David Patching, with Paul Goffin, Andrew Soper, Ralph Mayer, Drew Fletcher and Gilles Gardner rounding out the top 20. 21st was Josh Bailey, with Mark Elvin in 22nd and James Cummings not making it to the flag. Fastest lap of the race goes to Johnny Cullen, 1:19.5. Well. What a start to the evening. And of course our order from race 1 is reversed. The top 20 positions are reversed, and we go into the feature race with that reverse grid. And it's going to be a real cracker. We are going to take a short break here on RaceSpotTV, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with the feature race. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to RaceSpotTV and the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Championship. We just had a superb opening heat race, and we're about to go into the feature race as well, where the big points are handed out, and we'll see who's going to come up out on top. At the moment in the Pro Championship, well, Will Chadwick has solidified his position at the top of the standings, but in the AM class, oh, do we have a cracker on our hands. It was the race to watch the last time out 2 weeks ago at Snetterton, and I'm sure it will be this time. Chaz, your thoughts on today's action so far before we head into the feature?
Be good if I unmuted my microphone first. It was absolutely awesome, that first race. Really enjoyed it. Once again, the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Series, showing us that there's action all over the field, all throughout. There's battles everywhere, regardless of whether it's pros and pros, AMs and AMs, or even pros and AMs as well. You know, they're not just matched up on paper. A lot of them are actually matched with sort of the faster AMs and the slower pros. There is not much of a sort of separation between the two. You know, there's quite a grey area in the middle. It's always quite difficult for admins in championships to differentiate between which class people should be in, and I think those races like that we just saw there, they're the ones that prove it, because it was so close all the way through and very entertaining. Great win by Will Chadwick. A shame for Johnny Cullen because he couldn't quite get there in the end, but I'm excited to see how he does in this one.
Yeah, because in this one, this is where getting through the field safely is a real part of the action. Of course, our grid inverted by 20 drivers as well, and we'll have a look at how they start in just a moment here for the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Season 5. Gilles Gardner will start on pole position alongside Drew Fletcher. Then it's Ralph Meyer and Andrew Soper, with Paul Goffin and David Patching rounding out row 3. Row 4 is Andrew Marston and Ryan Penny. Then it's Byron Crawford and Amrik Sashdev. Stephen Haley and Mark Johnson, they round out the row 6. Then it's Oliver Carbadine, Chris Byram and Tom Slater. Watch for those 3 cars. That's your AM class battle. Johnny Elia will start from 16th, followed by Austin Greatorex and Christian Saruta. Then it's our top protagonist from Race 1, Johnny Cullen, and Race 1 winner, Will Chadwick. They start on row 10, with Mark Elvin, Josh Bailey and James Cummings rounding out our grid. Drivers are ready to go. With a completely reversed grid here, it's going to be quite a challenge to get through that early section. Let's see how they get on. Just a couple of seconds until we get going. The rest will begin to rise. These 4-litre flat 6 motors unleashed here in the hills of Georgia. Off we go then. We're racing in the feature race here at Road Atlanta. And it is a super getaway there from the front row. Drew Fletcher off the line very nicely through turn 1 and holds a commandingly down at turn 1. Whoa.
The field behind is a massive pile of Porsches. It's absolutely wonderful. 3 wide in a lot of cases. Any contact looks... Oh, no, that's Chadwick. Chadwick's around, and there was contact with one of the 11 tenths cars. I think Johnny Elia involved in that one.
Oh, damage.
There is Will. Yeah, big damage indeed. He got turned around onto 2 wheels, and then Johnny was on the outside. Oh, off there is Chris Byram.
Off.
Chris Byram hoping to come through in the AM class. Wow, look at this. Unbelievable. That's Saruta and Slater. Byram on the left, Saruta in the middle. Sounds like there was already contact behind. And, Chadwick...
Oh, he gets hit by Cullen. He gets hit by Cullen.
I mean, based on that angle, it looked like it was Chadwick turning in on Cullen, but I'm not sure, because the thing is, when there's so many cars around like that and it's 3 wide, it's so hard to do. Look at that. He cuts through in front of him. Cullen down the inside. Oh, there's one hit, and then he's still there. Oh, well, yeah. Wasn't the best by Johnny Cullen, that, but there's more contact there as well, and that's where Byram ends up off. Zaruta has contact with somebody else. Flipping out, they're all over the place.
Now, this is a good time to remind our viewers that the drivers have to adhere to what's called the orange zone rule. If they cause an accident on lap 1, they have to take themselves for a drive-through penalty, and if they don't, they will be given a significant penalty post-race. Now, in the digital paddock today, the drivers were specifically warned about that rule. Now, there's a few drivers there who are absolutely slam dunk in violation of that rule. So we shall see how that one plays out between now and the next round.
Yeah, definitely.
Because there's some pretty slam dunk decisions there from what we saw on camera.
I would say so, yes, definitely. You know, some of it doesn't seem that difficult to pick apart, as Mark Johnson was dropping down the order just then as well. I think he might have been into the pit lane as... Oh, no, there he is, off at the side of the road. That dazzle camo does not blend in with the trees, Mark, I'm afraid. But again, easy to lose it through there. Whoa, he's done what we saw Byron Crawford do earlier, but he's just kissed the wall and come to a stop right in front of it. Looked like Andrew Marston also dropped down the order as well. Let's go on pause with Mark and see how this happened, Peter.
Classic turn 5, I would think. Yeah, just grabbing that little bit too much. It's been a little bit too greedy. Oh, there's been some very good drivers make that same mistake, and Mark Johnson is just another one on the list. Well, that's Road Atlanta, but Paul Goffin leads the way in the CDM Spontex car.
Go on, son.
Yeah,
That's James Cummings.
Cummings coming out. Cummings coming out of pit lane. That's a horrible pit exit at Road Atlanta. It's the one thing I don't like about the track.
Yeah, it's quite a funny one actually, because I always take the mick out of a friend of mine, Tom Jacobs, for once we were practicing in GTE cars around this circuit, and a Ford came out of the pit lane, and we were talking about how bad the exit was, and the Ford didn't do anything, didn't go anywhere near him, and then he had a crash at turn 3, so he'd gone that far past it. He actually had a crash on the exit at turn 4, and then blamed the Ford for getting in his way once, and I told him that's how full of rubbish he is. But that's a prime example of it. However, we have both seen some very ropey moments out of that pit lane exit, because it comes right into the path of the racing line if people go all the way over to the right.
Yeah, it is so tricky through there, but often leading away by 1.2 seconds. Great opportunity here for Stephen Haley in the pro class, of course, in second place overall. Ryan Penny, trying to make a move there on Fletcher. Fletcher just breaks that a little bit later, in fact locks up a little bit, and that sort of blocked Penny's path. I tell you what, the last race or two we are seeing a brand new Ryan Penny. He's had some difficult races this season and in the past, but he's just turned the corner so much in that Porsche Chester machine. Must be the setup that they've put in the car at the Porsche Centre Chester garage. That's the difference. Get your car tuned at Porsche Centre Chester.
I can't think of any funny things to say. We've been through the entire book on them. Don't forget to quote Carl Hazelton 20, and he'll add 20% to your invoice.
And you will definitely not get an allocation of the new GT4 RS. Yeah.
You'll get taken off the list.
You'll get taken off the happy list.
Yeah, if you mention me or Peter's names, you will get instantly removed from the showroom.
Yes. You won't even be offered a cup of coffee.
No,
we're only joking. It's the number one Porsche Centre in the Northwest.
Oh no, that's Cummings.
Cummings is making himself as easy to pass as possible. But Cullen, he obviously didn't pay attention to the warning about the orange zone rule this morning. That must have missed his inbox, because he's up into 10th position, and there's nobody else who was at fault for that incident with Chadwick other than him, to be quite frank. Ryan for Penny, he's got a slowdown, I think.
I think he might have been off the road at the bottom of the hill. You know, there seemed like there was a little bit of smoke and maybe a bit of dust from the grass as well. We'll find out. Side by side with, it was Ralph Mayer that he was fighting with. Oh yeah, just gone a little bit too hot into turn 10A, and then straight line to chicane and gets on with it again. But you're right, he will have got a slowdown for that one as well.
Well, he gets back on with the job. Does Penny? And still sitting in third in the AM class, although he's got the charging Byron Crawford on his case as well. Greatrex has made an unbelievable start as well, from 16th on the grid, 17th on the grid, excuse me. He is already up into third, makes quick work there of Ralph Meyer, and this is a great opportunity for Greatrex, because, you know, Chadwick, how is Will Chadwick only 9.9 seconds off the lead? That car is mangled. That doesn't compute at all.
This boy is just something else, isn't he?
He is, isn't he?
I mean, when you look at the I ratings of this field, you know, I always campaign for the fact that I rating doesn't mean anything, really. I mean, it's only in league racing where you see people with such varied I rating against each other, as Zaruta now goes down the inside of Byron Crawford, cuts his nose off on the exit, and Cullen is going to be the next car. But there is a humongous spread of I rating in the field. The lowest is 850. And the highest is more than 10 times that, which is Will Chadwick. He's got 8,205 I rating, and anything over 2,000 is pretty competent, to be honest with you. 8,000 is just disgusting. You know, that is pro driver level. That's where Will is at. And to be fair, for his pace, Johnny Cullen, I would have expected him to have over 7,000. He's got 5,844. However, there are drivers that only sort of specialise in league racing. A friend of mine, Matt, years ago, had 900 I rating, which isn't great, but he was way faster than most people we'd come across in different races.
So yeah, it just shows, like you say, it isn't everything. But well, I mean, we've seen Chadwick put together a couple of these drives where the car has got damaged in the reverse grid situation, which is sometimes unavoidable. And of course, as we saw, he did get hit from behind there. But you know, the thing is, he has just been able to drag performance out of a car that looks seemingly smashed to bits, and he's doing a super job, is Chadwick. Although his time to the leader is getting greater, so the win might be a hard ask, especially with Greatorex cutting through the field with proper precision.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's not the only one that's moving forward, is he? As we look now at our race leader, Paul Goffin in the Spontex CDM Esports car, Stephen Haley behind him in the digital motor art machine. Stephen does fantastic liveries all over many different sims. He's recently painted the BTCC cars, which have come to our factory too. And I must admit, his version of, well, not even his version, but his replica of Tom Ingram's Hyundai is absolutely stunning artwork. And he does a wonderful job, and he's just a really nice bloke all round. He's quick as well. And
he brought the Ginster's livery back.
I think he did one, I think he did that actually as well.
That was a travesty when the Ginster's livery disappeared.
I know, yeah. I think the current one looks amazing still, but I agree that the Ginster's car was just...
It's no free pie, let's be honest.
No. Love a free pie. Then again, I made cottage pie yesterday. It was quite nice, actually.
Did you? Was it good? I'm more of a shepherd's pie, but it's quite similar, isn't it?
Yeah, I didn't poison Beth, so that's a result.
That's always a result. It's Haley, the man in question. Wonder what pie he likes. Chicken pie. Up the inside he goes. Stephen Haley. I don't know what chicken pie has to do with anything, but anyway, he goes.
I thought it was some reference that went over your head.
No, that was just completely at random. Stephen Haley goes up into the lead by 2/10. Oh, more problems for Penny. Oh dear.
Well, in for a penny and all that.
I'll let you have that one. So Chadwick has to go around the outside. Let's see what happened to him then.
Oh no, is Cullen going to tap him?
3 wide. This always goes well.
I shouldn't assume, so no, it's a bit bad of me, but no, he just, again, a little bit too hot, and he's done really well there not to go back into the path of the other drivers, actually, hasn't he?
Yes, very much so. Very, very much so. Chadwick really has to go right onto the edge of the circuit there, and that's not easy to do in, 4th, 5th gear in these cars, so yeah, very, very tricky. Indeed, Greatorex still making moves as he goes around the outside at turn 6. Oh, that's nice. Audacious. That is audacious from Greatorex. But he gets the move done. That was lovely. And Goffin giving him the room to be very fair. Now, we've got a battle on at the front. Haley versus Greatorex, 2 pro-class drivers. Best lap so far from Haley, a 120.6. Greatorex, a 120.2. So, by that measure, maybe Greatorex has the edge, but we've got 14 minutes to go. There's a lot of racing left to happen, and don't write off Saruta as well. He's there in 4th place, finished on the podium in race 1. Tell you what, a double podium from the Flying Bogey, that would be good.
Yeah, definitely. That would be certainly not something to sniff at, you could say. But we've got...
Hope he doesn't blow it.
Crying out loud. We're back. Oh, this is Slater side by side with, I believe, is that Andrew Soper next to him. Around the outside. Still side by side round turn 1 they go. Lovely stuff, very close together. Slater is another one of those drivers making his way through the field, though, in that 53 car. He started near the back of the AM class in this race. He's got to make it past Ryan Penny next up. You know what? I love just a solid white livery on that car. It just looks like a privateer entry, doesn't it?
Yeah, get yourself down to Soper's teeth whitening it are us. And get that smile you've always wanted. Yep.
For what you floss.
For what you polish. Oh dear. Carbonade is up into 7th in class. His rivals in the AM class. Byram, he's much further down the order, of course. He's down in 20th overall. Slater in 11th. So this has been a good night at the office so far for Slater. So a good opportunity for the 53 to get back into that AM class fight. And we're seeing it now. That AM class is so deep in speed. You know, if you have a bad day at the office, you're going to take a big hit on points.
You are indeed. It's such a tightly fought championship. It's absolutely amazing. I love the AM championship. I mean, between the top 8, there is less than 30 points coming into this race meeting. It's very, very close. This is now the battle for the race lead. Austin Greatorex all over the back of Stephen Haley as they go up towards turn 5. The cars bobble and bounce around. It's one of my favourite things about the Porsche Cup cars of many iterations. They move around so much, but look at this. Greatorex gets the run. Haley's overdone it, hasn't he? Through down the inside into turn 6. Lovely stuff. Can Stephen come back at him? Well, he's going to have the slipstream now, Peter. This could become a battle of who is in front at the start of this straight.
That all started on the exit of turn 5 there. That line left-hander. Haley got up onto the curb and the car got all out of shape. Greatorex got it hooked up, but look, here we go now. Look at that invisible force that is the slipstream. Greatorex knows it's there. He covers his line to the inside. Greatorex very good on the brakes there. Covers the line well. Very nice. Now we see Greatorex has a little bit of a pace advantage, and this is where the slipstream has no effect. In fact, actually, when you're the following car, a tiny bit of dirty air from the car in front can actually play against you. So this is where you want to be the leading car. But we're in for a good battle here, I think. Lap times wise, best lap. Yeah, Greatorex was half a second quicker last time by, and still the difference between them 0.4 of a second on the outright best lap. But Haley's standing with him, and the thing is, here at Road Atlanta, if you can keep the pressure on, it's so easy to make a mistake that if you're sitting on the rear wing of your rival, it can always make an error, and that's what Haley's got to hope here. And that was a pretty, what's the word, graphic display of how much of a pogo stick part of the circuit that is.
I nearly got seasick off that then as we exited turn 5. I was all over the show. But as I was going to say, it's one of my favourite things about Porsche Cup cars, new and old, is the fact that they show their body language so much. They are such a visual spectacle to watch as race cars. You know, you do get certain machines where you'll watch a race and the drivers will get out at the end and say, oh, the car was all over the place. You know, it's so difficult to drive. And you're thinking, give over. It looked brilliant. It looked like it was a Scale X trick. It looked like a flipping Aurora AFX car going round. Like, it looked amazing. But then in these things, if someone says, yeah, it was all over the place, you can believe them because you've seen it yourself. You know, they literally float on the surface there. The camber they run on the front wheels of these cars is very aggressive, and even on the rears, you know, when you look at them at ground level, there's a tiny contact patch on the front of these cars. They're very interesting machines to set up and watch. As well, there's a moment. Now that is Mr. Fletcher, is it not? Drew Fletcher losing positions hand over fist there. I think maybe Johnny Elia, and is that Carwadine going past him?
Yeah, it is. Let's see what happened then to Fletcher. So he's leading this mini pack at the time. Ryan Penny behind him. We see Ryan Penny just miss his braking point here a couple of times. And he's getting closer, and a big old slipstream as well. Up the inside he goes. Oh, makes contact on the brakes and uses Fletcher as a little bit of a backstop there. Fletcher won't be happy about that. Oh, who was that off in the background?
Soper, Andrew Soper, just slipping off the surface there.
Yeah, like Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Casper the Disoriented Ghost.
Ah.
Just, I think maybe he expected an incident coming and he just tried to take avoidance, but I mean, it's so easy in those moments to sort of watch what's going on ahead of you and not reference where your own car is, to be honest with you. You can see they do move over on each other a little bit, don't they? There's Fletcher and Penny, and then, oh, he's lit up the rears.
Just on that weight transfer, just got on the throttle that little bit too early. That car really does have the skin complexion of an Alaskan introvert. Goodness me. It's Christian Saruta here. He's up onto the podium again. A double podium. I've broken Chas Tricot again. I've broken him again.
Alaskan introvert. Oh, sorry.
You can imagine it though, can't you? Anyway, Johnny Cullen is up into fourth, but Chadwick, how's he managing this?
Oh,
how is he dragging that car with? It's not got a straight panel on it, and he's up into sixth overall. He's on the tail of Paul Goffin, who's driving very well. And do you know what? This is really impressive here from the Spontech CDM Esports driver. I think I got it right that time. Oh, it's Chadwick. He's not being. The thing is, Chad, he's not being ruffled by any of these pro drivers, and because in this race the points are handed out on your class position, he doesn't need to worry about them. It means nothing them going by, but he's not letting it get to him, which many drivers do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Some of them will get so in their own heads about the fact they're being overtaken hand over fist, and some of them will try and defend the position. It sounds mad, but they honestly will, because at the end of the day, these guys are racers, and you try telling them not to defend a position or to slow down. You know, you may as well just, just give up. Tom Slater's now fighting with the 990 car of Ralph Meyer. Side by side they go down towards 10A and 10B, both very close to contact. Ralph is nice and late on the brakes. He's going to hang it around the outside of the first part of the chicane. Does he keep the inside line? Oh, Slater gets a great run on the exit. Oh, Ralph doesn't quite give him room. There's a car off in the background there. Somebody around. It's Amrik Sashdev. He's done a 360, Peter.
Oh, he has. He has, as Amrik Sashdev. Oh, it's golf season at the moment. That's maybe why.
He's probably got it on his other monitor.
Golf. He's thinking about the putt he missed on the 16th. Oh! Straight into the side of Ryan Penny.
Yeah, that's a 9-iron.
Oh, yes.
Ends up in the sand.
golfing terms, that would be a shank in golfing terms.
In southeast London, it's called getting shivved.
Whoa! No! Cullen goes, that was so late there. Cullen tries to make a move that really wasn't there, clips the side of Tsuruta. And Cullen, to his credit, has eased off the gas there and has allowed Tsuruta to reclaim the position. So Tsuruta is on a defensive line. They are in a battle. Hard on the brakes. And
it's just a little bit late, isn't it?
Yeah, a touch, yes.
And Chadwick picks up the pieces.
Well, he does. Yes, he's probably watching this going, oh, fantastic. Yes, do that. And, oh, that's late when you look at it from that angle. And both... Yeah. William Chadwick says, Merry Christmas, happy birthday to me.
Up into third place, a podium position overall after being turned around on lap 1. It's absolutely phenomenal, it really is. And you know, it's great determination, but at the same time for everybody else, you just shake your head and think, what can we do? How can we stop this boy? But, you know, no disrespect to the other drivers at all when I say this, but for the same roster of drivers that we see in this championship season after season, to then have somebody like Will come in, who is a real true iRacing pro, to come in and just show that extra few percent that is still above the fastest guys in this championship, who are already incredibly quick. It's just scary to think, you know, how someone's mind can work and understand the sim like that and feel it. Because let's not forget, you don't get the same sensation as you do in a real car in this thing. You don't have the feeling underneath your backside. You don't feel what every corner is doing between your bum cheeks. You know what I mean? You don't get that. In this, you have to do it all visually and audibly and just feel it through the wheel. To be able to understand a piece of software like that and drive the car in such a way and react to what it's doing is just an art form. And hats off to Will Chadwick. You know, it may, to some people, get boring if he wins time and time again, but honestly, you've got to just see it as what a fantastic achievement. There's more contact between Tsuruta and Cullen. Tsuruta turned in, and Cullen, well, I think he tried to go for a bit of an overlap there, and he caught the right rear, and Tsuruta's in.
I think it'll be incident points for Tsuruta.
Yeah,
trying for a penalty, I think. Yeah, so let's have a look then. Cullen on the brakes. You'll see there's Tsuruta, and yeah.
Cullen's not giving him the room there for me.
It's tricky. It's so hard going into turn 10, I think. That means Tsuruta, he's gone over the incident point limit, so in the iRacing system, you get a 1 incident point for stepping over track limits, 2 for a spin, and you get 4 for heavy contact with another driver, and that we saw. I've seen quite a few examples of that. I'm surprised Cullen hasn't copped one as well, because we've seen several contacts from his 666 car too. So, but that's a shame for Tsuruta. Such a good drive so far. But yeah, we had to, coming back to your point well made, Chaz, on Chadwick. You know, we saw this with Jacob Toft, 2-time champion, the last 2 championships here at the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing. He's right on the very fringes of qualifying for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, which is the top, sim racing championship, really. Certainly on iRacing it is, and he's right on the cusp of qualifying for that. So that gives an impression of the level of champions that we've had, and you know, it's what we need is Tofts and Chadwick for season 6. We need them back.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of the drivers...
The King Hippo, while we're at it.
Oh, that would be amazing. Return of the King Hippo, Ryan Parkins, bless him. What a top bloke as well. But, you know, a lot of the drivers may see it as, oh, God, this pro guy, you know, he's just going to walk away with it. The right people will look at it and say, wow, look at how good this guy is. What a fantastic addition to the championship. He's an inspiration, you know, we need to be as fast as that. Like, you know, we can try and practice and get better and just develop ourselves to be as quick as this guy. You know, some people will see it as a bad thing, others see it as a target. And like I say, an inspiration. And I think a lot of the guys, with how level-headed they are in this championship, a lot of guys will be the latter on that, I'm sure. Here's Mark Johnson, currently running 9th overall. He's actually 7th in his class at the moment. Sorry, 6th in his class, actually, after we have had Zaruta into the pit lane. But Austin Greatorex still leads this race out right now, 2.6 seconds over Stephen Haley, and that gap is fluctuating a bit here and there based on where they are on the circuit. But Greatorex is looking quite comfortable right now, Peter, because he knows that Chadwick, if he is going to get to him, still has to go through Stephen Haley as well, and Stephen's not going to give up without a fight.
No, he won't. He certainly won't. I have to say, this has been a heroic drive from Paul Goffin. He's made the very most of his grid position, and in 4th position overall, and top of the AM class by a reasonable chunk, 4 seconds from Byron Crawford at this moment in time. And now, tell me, Chaz, would this be the first class win for the Spontex team?
It would be in this championship. We have cars racing in the Nevo British Formula 4 series with one Kane Halliburton that people might know.
Oh, yeah, he's quite handy. Yeah.
Kane has taken to the wheel of the F4 cars and very kindly run the livery this season, and he is, well, you can imagine how that's going. He's doing very, very well indeed. Although he actually scored next to no points last time, and he's left the championship wide open into the final round, but it's still going to be exciting. But yes, Paul Goffin in this championship is on his way to get the first class win. He's got Cullen behind him right now, and with any luck, he will have Cullen just go by without issue and continue on his merry way. It's been good to see. You know, I've had a few guys run the liveries in different championships, and I've been really grateful for each of them. You know, they've just been so kind about it and just really supportive of the idea. You know, it's just for a bit of fun. But some of these guys, they're not signed to big teams or whatever. They don't have obligations of any sort. So they just, you know, we do it for a bit of fun as well. As we're on to the final lap already, Peter, these races fly by, mate. They
do indeed. Yeah, Austin Greatorex, he's leading by 2.1 seconds. So a relatively comfortable margin from Stephen Haley, who will be desperate to hang on to this second position, although Chadwick is on the charge. Despite the damage to that 88 car, he is right on it right now, using all the room on the exit as well. And this is where, in this type of racing, if you've got incident points spare, use them. Break the track limits. If you know you can break the track limits without getting the more stringent slowdown penalty, then use it. Oh, it's huge lock up in front for... Oh, it's Mark Elvin in the Dirty Mankini. Oh, the smoke coming from the Dirty Mankini. Dear me. Oh, he's left skid marks there for sure as he goes into turn 7. And now Chadwick is tucked right up behind Stephen Haley. Need more than that. He's going to be spitting feathers now, is Chadwick. Very close to Stephen Haley. Nearly runs him out of room. That was incredibly close. But great determination from Chadwick. Does he? Oh, there's contact. I think Stephen expected him to go out the way and get a cutback, but come around the final corner. Your race winner, Peter. Yeah, Austin Greatorex wins again in the Porsche Club of Great Britain Sim Racing Series. He'll be delighted with that. A super drive from the Flying Zebra.
Chadwick
Stephen Haley finished in second, and you know, I think that might have been Chadwick going over the incident limit, you know.
It may very well have been.
He goes.
He still gets third, but does it actually give him a penalty or something?
No, we'll get back to when we know the outcome of that. Hard lines for Christian Saruta. He comes home in 12th overall, and in the pro class, a little bit further down the order. But Paul Goffin, what a drive! What a drive! 5th overall for Goffin, and it might even be 4th if Chadwick gets a late penalty for not serving the drive-through on the last lap. Brilliant stuff from Paul Goffin. That's a happy hedgehog.
It is indeed. And like you say, it was all about just using your grid position to your advantage. That's one of the beauties of having these reverse grid races in championships. You know, you get drivers at the front of the field that wouldn't normally qualify right up there, but they show that they can stand their ground and just withstand any pressure once you put them in a race scenario. And it's really heartwarming to see it. Really, really good. It's been confirmed that there is a penalty for Will Chadwick, He's going to be down into 15th place. So Paul Goffin gets 4th overall. Stephen Haley is 2nd. Johnny Cullen gets a podium as well. That's going to have big championship implications as well, isn't it, Peter?
It will, and I don't think Cullen's result will stand, to be quite honest, because the drivers were warned about the orange zone rule this morning, and that which means when you believe you're at fault for an incident, then you have to take a drive-through penalty. But glad that's not our job to hand that out. Austin Greaterex wins then by 4 seconds from Stephen Haley, with Johnny Cullen finishing on the road in third. Paul Goffin, what a drive in the AM class, a winning class, fourth overall. Johnny Elia comes home in fifth. Byron Crawford, great run to sixth place, with Tom Slater in seventh, heating up the AMS class championship with our AM class leader coming into this meeting. He finished in ninth. Ralph Mayer rounds out the top 10. In 11th was Christian Tsuruta. Difficult day at the office in the feature race. Very good heat race, but difficult feature race for Tsuruta, the late stage there. Ryan Penny fought his way to 12th, with Josh Bailey in 13th, Drew Fletcher in 14th, and Will Chadwick, penalty on the last lap, finishes in 15th place. Amrik Sashdev was 16th, followed by Andrew Soper, Chris Byram, Andrew Marston, and Gio Gardner. I noticed Gio Gardner running the new Porsche 963 Team Penske livery on his 992 Cup car. A very nice touch there. Mark Elvin finished in 21st, with David Patching and James Cummings rounding out our 23 car field. Well. A pretty dramatic feature race there, Chaz, as always.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And I mean, plenty of battles all over the show in that one. Always some great action here. And I mean, Road Atlanta once again did not disappoint. There were a lot of challenges just for drivers getting around a lap cleanly. There was a lot of challenges when it came to trying to defend positions and, of course, trying to take them back as well. I've just seen in the Discord that Will Chadwick is actually asking to appeal any potential penalties before anything's even come through, actually. So he's going to try to get P3 back. Austin Greaterex has very blatantly just said no, lol, for a bit of a laugh. So I'm sure he's got his view on it, but obviously championship points are important there. But Paul Goffin, I mean, I may be a bit biased, of course, but what a fantastic drive, though, in that race, because like you said, Peter, the main thing was that he was absolutely unflustered throughout the whole thing, and he just stood his ground and kept on going and got strong points at the end, didn't he?
That he did. Well, we do have our feature race winner, Austin Greaterex, and he is down with Chaz Draycott. Down to you, Chaz.
Apologies, my bad. Sorry, Austin. Great to get that result from you, mate. Fantastic points on the board for the championship. That was an important one, that wasn't it?
Good evening, guys. Yeah, so I've not been so lucky in the reverse grid races in comparison to Johnny, Christian, or Will. And tonight it seemed to all go my way, so I'm very, very happy.
And what about this circuit as well? I mean, coming here, is it a circuit that you're confident coming to at Road Atlanta? Because it's such a challenge, especially in cars like this, isn't it?
No, there's no confidence, and me and Christian could not stop laughing in the practice at how many times I crashed this car. I love the track in other cars, but in this car, I'm not a fan.
Well, it's because, I mean, these things are lively. I was talking about this earlier with Peter, the fact that you can see, as a spectator, you can see the body language of these cars rather than just drivers get out and say, oh, it was all over the place when it looked like it was on rails. Are they as lively behind the wheel as they look then on a circuit like this with all the curbs?
Definitely, with all the curbs and all the weight transfer, it's you got to stay alert. Put it that way. There's no lapse of concentration whilst you're driving.
And what are your thoughts going forward in the championship then after a good haul of points this evening? Are you thinking that you can make a full-on challenge for the title?
Looking at the point standing from the last round, I think Will can literally not turn up for the next two races and still win the championship. So with the drop round, so no, it's out of me, Johnny, and Christian. And looking at their two results tonight, I think we've got a good chance for top two, if not top three again.
And of course, we go to Silverstone National next time round. What are your thoughts about there?
We've only got like four corners to practice for. It's easy, that surely.
It's always provided good racing, though, hasn't it? Because you get a lot of laps in there.
It's good racing, and to be fair, it's daring racing because there's not a lot of opportunity to overtake. You've got to be quite daring for it. So I'm sure we'll see a lot of action on the broadcast.
I'm sure we will, Austin. Well, thank you very much for joining us, mate, and we look forward to seeing how you get on at Silverstone. Well done on the victory.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a good evening.
Cheers. There we go, then. Race winner.
Ever relax. Stephen, let's see what his thoughts are after his day at the office. Stephen, welcome to the RaceSpotTV commentary box. That was certainly a dramatic feature race. Tell us about it.
It was dramatic as in sweat dripping and fighting for your life racing, yes. I knew the guys, we were starting at the back. I knew they were quick. I knew they'd make their way through. It was just a case of having to trying to make hay while the sun shone. Until Austin caught me, and then I thought, well, I'm not going to battle Austin. I'll try battle him as much as I can, but let him through if he goes for it, because I think if I follow him, I'd be quicker. But I just started making silly little mistakes, and Christian and Will started catching, and then more and more red mist came over, trying to stop making mistakes,
And of course, it all came down to the last corner, basically, with yourself and Will. I mean, what's your? You could give us your take on that incident.
I was trying to squeeze him as much as possible. Maybe I'm not quite sure whether I was totally fair, but he could have lifted and whatnot and avoided it. But I don't know. It was good hard racing, I think.
I think so. Well, Stephen, thanks so much for coming in to chat to us, and all the best of luck for the next round at Silverstone National.
Thank you, Peter. Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Well, we're going to hear from our championship leader, Will Chadwick. And Chaz, down to you. I'm sure this will be interesting to get the thoughts from our championship leader here on a pretty crazy race.
Yes, indeed. Will Chadwick, welcome to the booth, my friend. That was a busy night for you, to be honest, mate. The first race, maybe not so much once the guys started fighting behind, but talk us through that second race.
Contact turn 3. Start was all right, pretty decent. Contact turn 3, got spun around, just had to kind of fight back with what I had, and then into the last corner, got a 4x penalty, which dropped me down to, well, I don't know where they'll end up putting me, but it dropped me down to 15th, which put me over the X limit. I couldn't serve it in time, so that's a bit of a shame, really. I don't know whether they'll reinstate anything or not, but pretty disappointing on my side, considering that I don't think I could have avoided the contact that was at place. But these things happen sometimes, and you just got to move on and go to the next round. Although I can't be at the next round.
Oh, why is that? If you don't mind me asking, that is.
Oh, I think I'm in Turkey, so not a bad excuse.
No, I know where I'd rather be, to be honest with you, than in my sim. But to be honest with you, Will, we've seen a few occasions now where you've had a damaged car early on in these feature races, but you're still able to make it work. What's the sort of secret to getting used to the car and any sort of differences in behaviour so quickly?
Any aero, as long as it's not suspension damage, any aero damage doesn't really affect how the car drives. It just slows you down a little bit. So you've just got to keep your head in it, not really get flustered by it, and just focus each car at a time. It's not something you really think about, because it's nothing you can change. If you've got damage, and you're just going to have to deal with it. There's nothing that thinking about it will ever do to it. So you've just got to carry on with what you've got, really.
So if you're going to be obviously missing Silverstone though on the 7th of September, as will I, surely you're back for the final at Brands Hatch?
Should be. I think Neo's on this. No, Neo can't be. No, yeah, it should be. Yeah, no problem.
And what do you make of Brands then as a circuit for racing?
I don't mind Brands. We came the first time. It was pretty all right. I'm sure I'll enjoy it again for the final. And yeah, no, I've fully enjoyed everyone's participation in this championship and how nice everyone has been.
Well, we look forward to seeing how you get on there, Will, and enjoy Turkey, mate, and have a good time. I'm sure you will. And we'll see you next time when you're back for Brands.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys.
Cheers. And there we go then, Peter. So good to chat to a couple of our drivers then and get their thoughts from the evening. It was certainly a busy one, though, wasn't it? I mean, there wasn't a moment's rest for some of the guys in that final race there. It was great to watch.
Yes, it's certainly been an eventful meeting here at Road Atlanta, hasn't it? Which, as we heard there from the two protagonists, Stephen Haley and Will Chadwick, we'll see how that one plays out. Well, it's been fantastic to see the drivers race here at Road Atlanta, but we will have all the action of the next round, the penultimate round of the season, from Silverstone National in 2 weeks' time, September the 7th. Remember to join us here on RaceSpotTV. We will have all of that for you. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.